You are Locked On Clippers POSTCAST. Part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, Clipper fans, what's up? Welcome to the Locked On Clipper Postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. I am Pete Fox, covering sports in LA for ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio all the way back to 2007. Today's episode of the Locked On Clippers Postcast sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Well, this one tonight started kind of bumpy, kind of ugly, kind of disjointed, kind of a mess. And the good news is the Clippers got it back on track. Even better news, they did it with defense leading to offense. And that's a positive sign. They really did start making baskets. And in spite of Kawhi Leonard not doing a whole lot, 21 minutes, 3 of 9, 0 of 3 from beyond the arc, 6 points. The other guys got hot, got it rolling, and it was a nice win. This one was one at times where it felt like you were like, oh, God, not again, because the Miami Heat clearly have the ability to fill it up from beyond the arc. And in the first quarter, is where it started, and then by the second quarter it got even worse. The defense around the perimeter was basically that non-existent, sort of lazy, half-hearted, late, just kind of roll out towards the guy shooting and kind of wave your arms as they, take an open look at a three. And when it's Tyler Hero, he was banging them down. But both teams in the second quarter, absolutely fell apart shooting, especially the Miami Heat. So that went into the Clippers getting back on their feet, hanging in there. They weathered the storm because the Clippers were not much better. The Heat went 1 for 12. Reminds me of a game the Clippers were in 7 or 8 days ago where they started off the second and the fourth, I believe, with just horrific runs, and they got punched in the mouth. So tonight it was the Heat that did that. They were off to a good start, 35-28 after one. They led at the half by, 6, I think, something like that. Clippers, kind of clawing their way back into it, but a 1 for 12 run to start the second was awful and good for the Clippers. 48-43 was the score at the break. Miami up 5, not 6. So they started passing the ball, which I'm always a fan of. When the Clippers are passing the ball, I feel like they're better. Moving the ball around the perimeter. And I think a lot of that does have to do with Kawhi being on the floor. He precipitates that and kind of, I don't know if he calls for it, but he is one to pass quite frequently. So I feel like he feeds that energy to the rest of the team. But there was a few times in the second quarter, again, the second quarter, I shouldn't really be focusing on it because it was, clearly an outlier in this game where the Clippers won comfortably, 109-98, a 31-point turnaround. But there was a few times in the second quarter where they were moving the ball nicely, but being indecisive with their shots. Again, good news is by the third and the fourth quarter, really the game was over midway through the fourth. So by the third quarter, they started the scoring started rolling, and a lot of that had to do with nice passing, decisive shots, not hesitating, not an extra unneeded pass. There was a few times where I was like, Harden started to look a little too one-on-one ISO ball. And that to me is where things get stifled. The ball movement slows. Everything kind of gets choked off when Harden starts playing ISO ball. But the couple of times I saw it, he made step back threes straight away, 3 or 4 feet beyond the arc. So it was all good. That's positive. He's out there doing his thing, being James Harden, playing one-on-one ball. Had a good night, all in all, for James Harden. Very, very positive. 9 of 17, 6 of 10 from beyond the arc. The one I always look at is the turnover number. Only 4 turnovers for him. So, plus for him, plus 13 in the plus minus. Finished with 26. Norm Powel led the way, 36 minutes, 12 of 17, 5 threes for 29 points, no turnovers, 3 steals. So Norm Powel, your star of the game for the Clippers, did a little bit of everything with a plus 8. Chris Dunn had a tough night shooting. Really couldn't find the bottom of the net. 0 for 6 from beyond the arc, and they were clunkers, off the heel, off the side, short, just bad looks. 1 for 10 on the night, finishing with just 2 points, but 8 assists and 1 steal, which was a very nice steal late in the third. Hit Powell, who banged down a 3 to make it a 6-point lead for the Clippers, and they never really looked back from there. 67-61 at that point. At the end of the first half, I was a little surprised that the numbers weren't worse for the Clippers. They shot 41% from the floor. Again, they were gifted a 1 for 12 by the Miami Heat, who shot 35% in the first half, 28% from beyond the arc, and the Clippers were 22% from the floor. And where did that end up? How did that all finish for the Clippers? Pretty good. From beyond the arc, they were 36%, 13 of 36. Not great, but good. And 48% from the field, 45 of 93. As for the Heat, they finished at 38%. So a little bit better than they were at the half, and 32% from beyond the arc. Clippers struggled at the line tonight. That was unfortunate. The Miami Heat did a nice job of not fouling. 6 of 10 at the line for the Clippers tonight. So that's got to improve. 6 of 10 is just not good enough. 83% from the Heat from the line, but you have to feel really good about the way the third quarter went. Clippers won the third quarter by 16. This is when they started to pull away, gaining their biggest lead of the night, which was 19, 36-20. Fourth quarter, 30 points apiece. Again, 109-98 the final. 21-17 are the Clippers now, and the Miami Heat 20-18. We'll take the first break. When we come back, we'll get to the bucket list. More than 5 on there tonight. Plenty to talk about when it came to filling it up. But another guy that you could definitely discuss as being the player of the night, Ivica Zubac, had a fantastic game. We'll break that down as well. It's the Locked On Clippers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. We appreciate you allowing us to be your source for your team every day. All right, tonight's episode of the Locked On Clippers postcast brought to you by Ultimate GM. I want to take a moment to tell you about this. It's a brand new mobile game that sounds very exciting. Ultimate College Basketball HC. If you've ever dreamed of being a college basketball head coach, this is your chance to step into those shoes. Ultimate College Basketball HC has you controlling every detail of your program, from recruiting players, hiring coaching staff, to overseeing training camps, handling NIL deals. They could make that a game just by itself. You don't need to do all the other stuff. Just the NIL aspect of it is got to be crazy and sounds very fun. And you can manage scholarships, and it's all in your hands. When it comes to game time, you drop the offensive plays, get your strategy going. The way you play won't just affect the current season. It will shape the future of your school's basketball program. It's a game that lets you feel the full weight of what it means to be a head coach and lead your team to glory. Here's a special offer. Locked On NBA listeners, use the promo code Locked On CBB. That's LOCKEDONCBB, all caps, inside the game store to get a free boost for your program. It's the perfect way to kickstart your coaching career. To download Ultimate College Basketball Head Coach, just visit ultimate-cbb.com or look it up on the App Store. Ultimate College Basketball Head Coach. Begin your coaching legacy today. I can't wait for somebody to actually get hired using this app or game as their experience. It happened with that race car driver. He was driving the Xbox game and became a professional driver. So it is definitely something that can be done. Tonight's episode also brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is one of the best ways to get tickets for live events, whether it's professional sports or whatever you're into, concerts, comedy, theater. It's all available for you on Game Time. And one of the great things about Game Time is they kind of know what you're into, and they curate picks just for you. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They also show you views from the seats. They have a low price guarantee, and it is all very simple when it comes to the final price. It's all in pricing at the end. There's no hidden fees. You just toggle that all in pricing, and then when you get to the end, you know exactly what you're going to pay. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Clippers cruising to victory tonight. 31-point turnaround at Intuit Dome. Back to work after 5 days off because of the tragic fires going on in LA. Kind of a light crowd there tonight. Didn't seem to have that normal Intuit Dome energy, like 13,000 there. So it's not surprising. There's a lot going on in LA right now, and most of it's bad. So the fact that people were able to, take their mind off all the tragedy going on with the fires was a good thing. Lakers playing right now as well over in downtown at crypto.com. They just went final there as they got spanked by the Spurs, 126-102. We'll get to the bucket list here in just a second. One of the things that Brian Seaman brings up a lot, and I find it kind of surprising for a couple of reasons. I know how much of a Clipper homer Brian Seaman is, the play-by-play announcer. He's been working for this organization for 20 years, 25 years. It's been a long, long time. I used to chat with Seaman on a regular basis when I was there covering the Clippers for ESPN LA. Very cool dude. Just bleeds Clipper blue and red. It's just a major part of his life. He's a big time homer. But when he gets into the discussion about where he thought the Clippers would be this season at this point, he likes to say that he feels like, well, everyone thought that, the Clippers would be well under 500, 40, 50 games into this season before Kawhi Leonard returned. And I'm like, I didn't. I did not think that. They are not better than I thought. As a matter of fact, I think they're a little worse than I thought. Not much. And it's nice that they're over 500. It's also nice that they're hanging in there in the standings in the Western Conference. After this win, let's see where they come in. So they're 7th. That's not bad. 11 back of the Oklahoma City Thunder and 5 back of the Rockets, who are in second place. 3 back of the Grizz, who are in third. The Nuggets are 9 off the lead, so that puts the Clippers 2 back of them. Mavericks 10.5, so game and a half back of Dallas are the Clippers, and tied with the Lakers, who are number 6, in spite of their loss tonight, which is kind of interesting. So I would like to see them go on a nice run. I think that's a big thing that the Clippers are in search of right now. They need to put that feather in their cap. Kawhi Leonard back on the floor. They're still doing the minute restriction thing. It's hard to argue the reasoning. I look at Kawhi and I go, looks like he's ready to go. He did play G League basketball. Wasn't like he was just sitting on his couch and then they threw him into the NBA. He was playing G League ball. I think hopefully after 5 games. That's what we've heard is the number. They're going to do the first 5 games with the around 20 minutes restriction before they let him go, playing the 35 to whatever. I feel like a night like tonight hopefully is an anomaly. Hopefully it's a little rare. 6 points for Kawhi Leonard is not something we see even in 20 minutes. So double figures for him, usually pretty regular. Brooklyn coming up next, then Portland and the Lakers, followed by Chicago. It'd be nice to win 3 or 4 of those before they take on Boston, adding to it on Wednesday, the 22nd. Clippers really need to kind of find some rhythm, some momentum, some confidence, some swagger. They just need more than what they've got right now. I feel like this team is, again, good, but not necessarily cohesive. They don't really have an identity yet because they're still wondering where Kawhi Leonard fits in or how he's going to fit in. So that's a big question mark for me hanging over their head. Obviously, it seems highly unlikely that things could go south now that Kawhi is back. Ty Lue, for the most part, knows what he's doing. There are times occasionally when we question his moves, but that's kind of what our job is. That's what we do. We sit here and complain and say that's on the coach, not on the players, whatever. But ultimately, there needs to be some repetition for all of them to kind of be comfortable with their roles. I've always said when it comes to success and just about anything, you have to know your role and you have to accept it. The accepting it part is sometimes more important than the knowing part. Sometimes they'll say, this is your role. Okay, cool. You have to accept it. If you don't, it's not going to mean anything. So the guys that are playing around Kawhi, I still feel like they're trying to figure out the rotation. Am I wrong? Does that seem crazy? You guys have a different opinion on that? Love to hear it if you do. It seems like the rotation is still kind of in flux. Chris Dunn's getting time, and he does prove to be helpful defensively, getting steals, making assists, but he's got to score a little bit more. I don't know that you can keep running him out there for that many minutes if he's not going to score. Obviously Norm Powel, James Harden, Zubac, it's that 5th spot. Who does it belong to? Is it Derek Jones's spot? Probably. A nice night tonight with 9. Maybe Porter. Porter gets in some minutes. I'm surprised it was only 16 tonight. Maybe Amir Coffey gets that 5th, 6th man spot, or the 5th starter spot more frequently. I don't know. I feel like I've said over and over, I feel like Coffey is your 6th man, and Derek Jones and Kevin Porter are going to rotate for that 5th starter spot with Chris Dunn. So that's my feel of how it's going to look. We'll have to wait and see how Ty Lue breaks it down. All right, let's get to the bucket list. For number 5, James Harden had a rainbow deep 3 at the buzzer of the first quarter to make it 35-28 Miami. That one did not seem like it had a snowball's chance in hell of going in because it was just a heave-ho, and it did go, which was nice to see. Kind of a pick me up for the Clippers at the end of the first quarter. For number 4, Mo Bamba hit a 3 at the 10:39 mark of the second. 27-footer made it 35-31 Miami. So the Clippers started to climb back in a little bit. They kept it around 4, 6, 8 in that neighborhood. For number 3, Kawhi Leonard had a really sweet layup in transition at the 9:41 mark of the third to make it 53-47. For number 2, Harden hit a 3 at the 8:08 mark of the third straight away. He seemed to feel really locked in either on the wing or straight away tonight. That made it a 5-point game, 59-54 Miami. And then he came back with a layup right on the heels of that one to make it a 3-point ball game, 59-56. So Clippers getting back into it right there midway through the third. For number 1A, Norm Powel hit a 3 at the 6:51 mark to give the Clippers the lead from the corner. It was precipitated by really sweet, nice ball movement that was fluid and smooth. 62-59 Clippers led at that point. And then 1B, James Harden hit a 3 and a floater at the buzzer of the third to make it 79-68. So 2 buzzer beaters for James Harden on a very solid night when he finished with 26. We'll take a break, come back and get into Ivica Zubac's game, which I promised you after the last break. I teased you and then I made you wait a whole segment and didn't get into it at all. Didn't even mention his name. Sorry about that. We'll do it after the break. It's the Locked On Clippers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Clippers postcast brought to you by Open Phone. You're running a small business. Generally, if you are, that means you're wearing a lot of hats. Your personal phone probably has become your business phone. And before you know it, you're juggling customer calls day and night. As your team grows, it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. That's where Open Phone comes in. You know what? Another thing about this scenario that could be even worse. I did this for a while, eons ago, when cell phones weren't quite as big and heavy as they are now. You're carrying around 2 phones. I always feel awful for people that have to carry around the work phone and the personal phone. That just seems like a lot. Well, Open Phone can help with all of this. It's the #1 business phone system designated to keep your work and personal separate. For just $15 a month, the cost of a few coffees, you get complete transparency, visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. Open Phone works through an app on your phone or computer and integrates with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. Right now, Open Phone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/lockedonnba. That's Openphone, OPENPHONE. I guess that's why they want us to spell it. .com/lockedonnba for $20 off 6 months. Openphone.com/lockedonnba. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Clippers 109, taking care of business against the Miami Heat, who had 98 in this one without Jimmy Butler. Probably never going to see Jimmy Butler in a Miami Heat uniform again. Jaime Jaquez played 33 minutes. The UCLA product, 4 of 9, 2 threes for 10 points. Tyler Hero led the way for the Heat. He was 9 of 20, 4 of 13. I think he started 3 of 6 and then just went absolutely cold from there, but finished with 32 points, which included 11 rebounds and 7 assists. So a nice game for the Kentucky Wildcat. Haywood Highsmith, 3 of 8, 2 threes for 9. Kevin Love, who I can't believe is still in the game. How old is Kevin Love? Is he as old as his number, which is 42? I mean, that would be surprising if he was that old. He's another UCLA guy and SoCal native, 36. That's old for the NBA. Still playing some good basketball, though. So what did he finish with? 9, 3 rebounds, going 3 of 8. All of his points from beyond the arc. All right, let's get to Zubac's night because it was fantastic. He did, once again, a little bit of everything. This is the kind of night that I think we should expect from Ivica Zubac on a regular basis. 10 of 13. 21 points to go with 20 rebounds, 2 block shots, and 1 assist. He was, when the perimeter was kind of wide open in the first half, Zoo was clogging up the lane, really doing a nice job there. Things really go south for the Clippers fast when they're not guarding the perimeter and the lane is wide open. And you know that it happens on a regular basis. The Clippers do that a lot. It's kind of like they just turn off their whole defensive mindset, and we're just going to be lazy for a little bit and not do anything defensively. We're going to close out late. We're going to leave the lane open. Not tonight. First of all, once Zubac started filling up the lane, it started to make the perimeter also a little bit more mandatory for the Heat, and that worked in the Clippers' favor. The points in the paint for the Miami Heat tonight were very, very low. The Clippers had 60 points in the paint versus 28 for the Miami Heat. Second chance points, a tight ball game, 7-6 in favor of the Clippers. And another thing they did tonight that was really, really positive and encouraging was fast break points. They were running the break tonight, especially in the second half on the third quarter, really, when they started to pull away and build that comfortable lead. The defense causing turnovers, turning those into points, and a lot of those points were coming off of fast break points. Early in the fourth quarter, when the game was basically over, the Clippers had caused 13 turnovers that turned into 23 points. So that was nice to see. Let's see how it finished as far as turnovers in favor of the Clippers. So they only had 11, which was nice, and 15 for the Heat. So a couple more after that 10-minute mark. So that was really kind of the apex of their night defensively. 13 turnovers, turning him into 23 points. But Zubac did a lot of that defensively, but also a fantastic night offensively. Getting double teamed frequently and just fighting off the double team and throwing down dunks. It was just a really nice, positive night to see from Ivica Zubac. Again, 10 of 13, 21 points to go with 20 rebounds, making nice passes. They had one pick and roll from Harden to Zubac, was textbook pick and roll. It was the early in the third, so smooth. I mean, I'm like, it's one of those things to me that is like the slant pattern in football. I'm such a big fan of the slant pattern because I feel like it works all the time. Now I realize if you ran it 3 out of 4 plays, you got to run the ball to keep the defense honest in football. You can't just run slant patterns all the time. But I feel like teams that don't have an offense or their offense is stagnant, or like the Chargers did in the second half on Sunday against the Houston Texans, when they just completely fell apart and they couldn't do anything, whether it was on the ground or in the air. That's when you start running shorter passes, slant pattern, screen pass. Just get the ball to a receiver, dump it off. It'll get confidence to your quarterback, and you can creep down the field. The same holds true to me for the pick and roll, right? It's old school. It's not very complicated, but when it works well, and it's smooth and easy. And I look at Zubac and James Harden, and they've really got it figured out. I would love to see it more. Obviously, the more they did it, people would figure out how to defend it because, it's not that dynamic. But those guys run it nicely, and I wish they would run it a little bit more because they definitely are proficient at it. They've got it figured out. Tonight I saw it maybe once or twice, but that one in the third was textbook. It was so perfect. So, I have confidence in the move because Harden's a good passer, and Zubac's offensive skills have improved dramatically. So he's becoming more athletic around the basket, and he's capable of handling that play. So I think they should run it more, especially when the offense is, struggling a little bit. I feel it would be a nice way to get them kind of turned around and back on track. It was a big part of that third quarter, that was big for them in this game, that turned the game around for them and got them on the right side of things. Again, a 31-point turnaround in this game from the Clippers trailing by 13 to leading by as many as 19 in this win. 109-98 the final as the Clippers get win number 21 versus 17 losses. Miami Heat are now 20-18 after the loss. Tomorrow they are off again, back to work on Wednesday. That'll be against the Nets at Intuit Dome, so they'll tip it at 7:30, and I'll be right here on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel to break it down for you when it is over. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you listening. It's the Locked On Clippers postcast. Have a good night. Take care. Talk to you on Wednesday.